Good morning. Happy Tuesday. I'm so happy you're back and we're here to learn together. We are going to go ahead and start off shared reading by reading a poem. So if we look up at the screen, we are reading something called Out of the Dust. And how I knew this was a poem automatically is because, well, I looked at the page and it looks a little bit different than what we're used to. But then I see that it's written in stanzas and then it also was written in lines. So we see here that each line is labeled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and they are numbered by fives. We also do know that sometimes poems rhyme and they have rhythm, other times they do not. This specific poem tells a story. So as we go ahead and we read through this poem, it is going to be telling a story. So we are going to be looking for these key events within the text, and the key events we are going to gather and then write a summary at the end. So let's go ahead and begin reading stanza 1, line 1, Fields of Flashing Light. I heard the wind rise and stumbled from my bed, down the stairs, out the front door, into the yard. The night sky kept flashing. Lightning danced down on its spindly legs. So what I see here is that the narrator heard this noise and is awaking from a storm. So I only want to be annotating actions. So I see here, stumbled from the bed. He went down the stairs, out the front door into the yard. And what I see here is that he is really getting out of bed. There's not like a one line that is really standing out to me that says that the storm woke him. I'm inferring that. So I'm just going to go ahead and draw a line down here because this is really starting the action. What's standing out to me is that I do see some figurative language here in the first stanza in line 6 and 7, specifically line 7. And here it says lightning danced. Lightning danced. And what they're doing here is the author is comparing the lightning dancing on its spindly legs. And we know that lightning doesn't actually dance, people dance. So that would be an example of personification. Let's go ahead and keep reading stanza 2. I sensed it before I knew it was coming. I heard it, smelled it, tasted it. Dust. So we know that this author has awoken from a dust storm. While Ma and Daddy slept, the dust came, tearing up fields where the winter wheat set for harvest in June stood helpless. I watched the plants surviving after so much drought and so much wind. I watched them fry or flatten or blow away like bits of cast off rags. Okay, so we see here that this dust came. So that's the action. And what did it do? Well, it destroyed the wheat. It destroyed their crops. So they fried, they flattened, and they blew away. Yikes. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and keep on reading. It wasn't until the dust turned toward the house like a fired locomotive and I fled, barefoot and breathless, back inside. And it wasn't until the dust hissed against the windows until it ratcheted the roof that Daddy woke. Okay, so we see here that the dust is really taking over. So we see that the author fled and then Daddy woke up. I do see another example of figurative language here. And I do see that the dust hissed against the window. Once again, we know that dust doesn't actually hiss. People could hiss, or we know that snakes might be able to hiss. So that is another example of personification. Let's keep on reading. Let me get my highlighter back here. There we go. He ran into the storm, his overalls half hooked over his union suit. Daddy, I called, you can't stop dust. Okay, so we know that the author's dad ran into the storm and he was trying to stop the dust. Ma told me to cover the beds, push the scatter rugs against the doors, dampen the rags around the windows, wiping dust out of everything. She made coffee and biscuits, waiting for Daddy to come in. So we know that they're all doing their part. I'm going to keep on reading. Sometime after 4, rubbing low on her back, Ma sank into the chair at the kitchen table and covered her face. Daddy didn't come back for hours until the temperature dropped so low it began to snow. Okay, so we do see here that Daddy returns. Alrighty. Let's keep on going. There we go. Maya and I sighed grateful, staring out at the dirty flakes, but our relief didn't last. The wind snatched that snow right off the fields, leaving behind a sea of dust. Waves and waves and waves of dust rippling across our yard. Daddy came in. He sat across from Ma and blew his nose. Mud streamed out. He coughed and spit out mud. If he had cried, his tears would have been mud too. But he didn't cry, and neither did Ma. March 1934. Okay, so we see here that the snow came, but the wind snatched the snow from the fields, leaving behind a sea of dust. So we see here that while Daddy was trying his best, but he came in and he was just devoured with mud everywhere. What I'm picturing here is, of course, I've never been in the middle of a dust storm, and either have you, but what I'm picturing is I've gone to the beach before where there's a lot of sand, and I know this isn't something that this is a really, really tiny example compared to this huge dust storm. And when you get back from the beach and you just made sandcastles, you were in the water, and then all of a sudden you come back and you find sand everywhere. It's in your hair. You kind of taste it in your mouth. You like put your finger in your ear and you're wiping it out of your ear. It's inside your bathing suit, in between your toes, and you're like, "Come on!" I'm picturing that this is the extent that they're going through. They're like, "This mud is everywhere. If I was going to cry, mud would be coming down my face." So this author is doing a great job explaining how this dust storm has completely taken over. So, okay, I'm going to go ahead and take my annotations that I have made and I'm going to summarize the poem. And a dust storm falls upon a farm. It covers everything with dust. And the family crops. Get destroyed despite Daddy's effort to save them. This is what the entire poem was about. I took my annotations, all the events within the poem, and put them into 2 sentences. I want to remind you that a summary is really just a recap or you retelling what this was about. And this poem was about a dust storm that falls upon a farm. It covers everything with dust, and the family crops get destroyed despite Daddy's efforts to save them. So, boys and girls, today we are going to wrap up shared reading, and I want to remind you that on the ABC countdown, it is D, and it's have a dance party. And I am going to tell you today, I'm going to take my 5 minutes to have a dance party to some Taylor Swift. Uh-oh, my internet's not working. I was going to play you the song. Let's see if I can get it pulled up in a few seconds. Come on.
To fly a rocket ship, you need to be
Oh no, it's an ad. Come on.
an optimist.
Oh, wait a second.
No astronaut.
Okay. To my Taylor Swift. And I'm dancing. Woohoo! Okay, so I'm going to keep dancing for 5 minutes. What song are you going to dance to? I'm dancing to Taylor Swift. Who are you dancing to? Have fun.